This is the Starfield Starmap, and if you're anything like me, there's a very good chance you would have wanted to explore it. Well, fortunately, we can now do this in a very limited fashion, all thanks to third-party developer I Need a Fast Horse. Now, their app recreates the Starfield Starmap as revealed in the gameplay reveal trailer. So we're going to take a close look at that in this video. I also want to take the opportunity to try and get a grip or an understanding of where Bethesda are going. What type of direction are they going with the planets? How far into reality are they going? And how far into made-up science fiction are they going? So if this is your type of video, pure speculation and using third-party tools, then do stick around. It should be an interesting one. If not, if you're after gameplay, then this may not be for you. Okay, Starfield Navigator. To start with, quick look at the controls. Very basic. WASD allow us to move backwards and forwards and side to side. Unfortunately, there's no way to move up and down on the Z-axis. We also can't interact with this map at all in any way with the mouse, so right-clicking, left-clicking, using the mouse wheel doesn't actually achieve anything. So very basic at the moment, but the developer has said they're going to keep iterating on this and releasing a new version, so we may see some improvements along the way. Now on the top here we can see frontal. That means we've got a front-on perspective. We've got the central selection, or centering the selection on the particular star we've chosen, in this case Sol. And this does allow us to actually rotate the map around. All these lines incidentally are jump points. They're a route from one star to the next, so the way to jump from Sol to any of the other systems on the map. Of course, we don't know how this will actually work yet because no one's actually played the game. This is just indicating the distance really to any of these star systems. We could also click another option here called Like Reveal, and this will play back the same animation that we saw of the star map during the Starfield presentation, and this will just keep going on a loop until we go back to one of these other selections. Now interestingly, what we can also do here is select one of the other stars. So we got Alpha Centauri. This was revealed in quite some detail in the gameplay trailer. Now we're now centered on Alpha Centauri. We can again just rotate the map around there, but we'll keep that on Alpha Centauri for a moment, and what we can see up here, we've selected the closest stars. And this lists for us the distance to each particular star system in order of distance. The closest is Sol System. We know that of course because Alpha Centauri is very close to us. Next one along is Barnard star. After that we have User 15, which is followed by Sirius. Now these ones are not currently known, but I think User 15 is likely to be a very good candidate for Wolf 359. Over on the left is another list, and of special attention here are the stars in green. So we've got Altair, Barnard star and Sirius. And I'm just noticing that the mouse wheel does seem to work here. It allows you to zoom in and out, but only when you've got a star selected. Left and right mouse buttons, however, still don't seem to work. At any rate, back over to this list. So these green names are there because the developer has deduced their position from the map we've seen in the game reveal. And they've been able to do this based on the other star positions. So in relation to Sol and Alpha Centauri, they've been able to determine that Sirius is actually a star that is in the game. Same for Barnard star and Altair. Now the other stars here remained largely unnamed, in part perhaps because currently a lot of stars around us use catalogue numbers, and very unlikely if we ever got out there and colonised the stars that we would call them by their catalogue number. Instead, we'd actually probably rename them. So we don't know what Starfield's name for these star systems is actually going to be. Makes sense then to leave them blank. Now we can actually go a bit deeper with this and take things a little bit further. This right here is Alpha Centauri as it appears within Starfield. It is a little bit incorrect, at least in accordance to its labelled right here. Here it is calling this star Alpha Centauri, but this star is actually Proxima Centauri. Alpha Centauri, of course, is the star system that's nearest to our very own. There's also two other stars here. They orbit each other a little bit further away from Proxima Centauri, but this does exist within the Alpha Centauri star system, so the label is technically correct. It's just not applicable, or not the correct name for this particular star. Now, as far as we know, from what we've discovered in the real world, Proxima Centauri does have some planets orbiting around it, and I think from the information I saw most recently, they think it has 3 different planets orbiting it, and we can see some of that right here on the website Scientific American. And here it says, the Sun's nearest neighbour may actually host 3 planets, a new study reports. Astronomers have found evidence of a third planet circling at Proxima Centauri, a red dwarf star that lies a mere 4.2 light years away from our own. So the Proxima Centauri, of course, is the red dwarf star. The candidate world, known as Proxima d, is estimated to be just 25% as massive as Earth, making it one of the lightest known exoplanets if it ends up being confirmed. So we also know that they've got Proxima b there, as well as, of course, Proxima c. Now if we flick back to Starfield Starmap here, we can see there are 4 worlds, 3 regular ones, as well as a rather large gas giant slightly further out, not to mention numerous moons scattered all over the place there. So very likely that, Bethesda had taken some artistic license here, and no reason why not after all. Now of course there's a very real problem here when you're looking at star systems beyond our own. I mean, we don't really even know a whole lot about our very own solar system. There's many mysteries still here, let alone systems beyond our own. But when you start looking at other star systems, it becomes very problematic about what do you actually include there in terms of science fiction. How far do you actually want to go towards realism, and how far do you just want to go way out there in terms of, making things up for the story? There's also an area sort of in between where you can take artistic license. So Alpha Centauri, I think, is kind of pretty accurate in a way in the Starfield, but they're very clearly taking some artistic license there. Another question, let's have a look at the second closest star to us, Barnard's star. So this one, like I say, very close to both Alpha Centauri as well as Sol. These are pretty close to each other, very close to each other in fact. But what actually exists around Barnard's star in terms of planets? Well, this is where it's very, very tricky with real-world science. Some years ago, they thought they'd discovered a super-Earth around Barnard's star. However, in more recent times, we can see here on this website, this is from Penn State Science University website. And what they're saying here is, however, in regards to the question of a super-Earth, however, the more we looked, the more data we collected, we did not see evidence for the planet signal. With the addition of nearly 120 new observations from HPF and an analysis of archival RVs, we have concluded the proposed planet candidate is a false positive. The signal associated with the planet is, in reality, connected to the star's 145-day rotation period. So, as far as I know, no actual planets, at least not yet seen, around Barnard's star. If, however, we look in the space engine, we can say that it does. We can see that it does actually have a world, and we can zoom in on that straight through the star there. And in terms, at least, of what we can see here in space engine, it is a ringed world. So, ringed world is very, very nice as far as I'm concerned. Lovely looking planet there, especially when you see the sun shining through the rings. Some nice graphical effects. Anyway, sidetracked there very, very easily. If we have a look at Elite Dangerous, we can see that in Elite Dangerous for Barnard's star, they've more than taken artistic license. They seem to have completely made up what's around here, which is, completely fine. It is a game after all. We got 5 different planets here, as well as quite a lot of different moons. So the question is, just how far will Starfield want to go with this? I think, in terms of realism, very, very difficult because there's not a lot that is actually physically known. I think it's more than okay to go the sci-fi route and have a guess at what's out there, and if not, take artistic license. At any rate, if you want to take a look at the tool of what's known so far about the Starfield map, do check out Starfield Navigator. It is listed in the video description. And like I mentioned early on, if you do check this out, be aware there is a false positive on this. Well, I assume it's a false positive, but Virus Total, let's see if we can find that, does show 2 potential positives in this download. So yeah, that's definitely something you want to keep in mind. It may be a threat, probably not. I was willing to take the chance here, but you may not. So do keep that in mind. At any rate, everything you need to know is available in the video description below. That then brings us to the end of this video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.